Right. He didn't have that one punch power at 140 and 147. I agree. All right. Uh-huh. Right. Exactly. I agree. I thought the other brother that he fought before, when he had his last fight here in Cincinnati, I can't think of the kid's name, Emmanuel. I think his last name is Emmanuel. I think it's Emmanuel Taylor. Right. I thought until I was there, me and my wife actually attended that fight, and the sentiments in the crowd was that Taylor was getting the best of him. And I think maybe just being a hometown and the fact that he got the big knockdown in that 11th or 12th round, or maybe it's the 12th round, I think that might have catapulted him to the win. But I thought Emmanuel Taylor had really brought the fight to him the whole time. He just didn't have that. He just didn't have that power to really, that the big pop to really catch everybody's attention. Exactly. Exactly. Well, let me back. Go ahead. Finish your point. I agree. So that's what I said. It was in Cincinnati. My main and we can move on from Broner, but my main issue with him is he seems like a guy that's you know when his punches are coming, because he only does he's either covering up or he's throwing punches, and I just feel like all you got to do is wait. He doesn't like punch off of his defense. He doesn't jab a lot, so I just feel like he's a very predictable fighter. And once you get up there against the the top fighters in a class, that approach is just not going to work against guys that can let their hands go fluidly. And he just hasn't displayed that yet in his career. And I can't stand when a smaller guy has problems letting his hands go, and really has the punch rate of a cruiser or a heavyweight or something. And that's, to me, he's just never been a big fluid puncher. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Be- the one thing, and we can move. This is my last comment on Broner. One thing that they let out on last night's PBC broadcast was the fact that Errol Spence Jr. actually knocked out Broner in a sparring session, and that may have been the highlight of the telecast to me, because usually we don't get those types of stories, but they put that out there, and I guess the only thing that they said was that Errol Spence Jr. has not denied it, but he hasn't denied that it happened. So that's pretty. Oh, okay, okay. Right. Exactly. Right. 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 Okay, so let's you're a pretty knowledgeable guy, like I said. Again, this is Pay Me No Mind with your host Wood, and I'm talking to Big Cuz, a big fight fan out of St. Louis. So what's been your take on some of these recent PBC fights, man? I mean, earlier this week we had Austin Trout and Joey Hernandez. I think Austin collected a 4th round knockout from a body shot. Joey Hernandez he looked a little soft to me, and I think he did come in. His weight was a little spotty. And then last weekend, Anthony Durrell was trying to come back from his loss to Badu Jack. He fought Marco Antonio Barrera and got a unanimous decision in a 10-round fight to kind of right his career. Any thoughts on any of those matchups? Uh-huh. Golovkin, 2 rounds. Yeah. And that's what I mentioned on our podcast last night. I said the same thing. I really lost hope in some of these guys floating around 160, 154, maybe even up to 168. And we will see Peter Quillen later today. But I just don't know who really can serve as a real opponent for Golovkin. I mean, like you said, if Durrell took 10 rounds to dance around with this guy, and Golovkin destroyed the guy and it was early in the second round. It wasn't even a full second round. He blew Marco Antonio Rubio away. So I'm just kind of worried now that we may not really see anybody really press Golovkin, the way that we need to see our pound for pound guys tested. So exactly. Right. Right. So before we get into a full blown Golovkin Lemieux discussion, let's finish up on that Austin Trout's showing. I thought that was great to have a midweek card, by the PBC, or really just boxing period. I thought that was pretty good. But any thoughts on Austin and where he goes next? Is it a chance he faces Julian Williams or anything, or what's his next move? Yes. Right. Right, right, right. I agree. So before we get into these upcoming pay-per-view fights, man, who are you interested in out here trainer wise? Who's your top 2 or 3 trainers in the game right now? Beristain. Right.